Revenge films.
My brother-in-law's wife is annoying. I don't care whether my husband makes a lot of money or not, but...
Your husband's pay is really low, isn't it? I can't believe you're still not working. Can you afford having children? Even if you have any money troubles, don't come to us for help.
Every time we meet, I always reply that we're doing fine, so you don't have to worry about us. But whenever I see her, she makes comments as though she's forgotten what I said. To be honest, I've had enough. On top of that, when she sees my daughter, who's very gentle, she says,
She must not be very talkative because she's always at home with just her parents. My kids have lots of friends in kindergarten.
and brags when comparing our children. When I didn't make any response,
You're clumsy and you're not young anymore, so you probably won't find a job anywhere. Who are you?
and laughed at me mockingly. Personally, I'd liked it if she would keep her nose out of our business, but she always wants to compare her husband's wages, the things we own, and even our children. It's pretty clear that she lives on making other people feel bad about themselves. Once, when she happened to find out that I was an only child, she told me that children without siblings lack common sense. Whether you're an only child or from a big family, I think having common sense is down to your personality and the environment around you. But she says anything to bring me down. No matter what I say, she doesn't stop and won't change, so I decided to ignore her. Another time, she told me,
Even if you're an only child and there's no one else to take care of your own parents, you have to help take care of our husband's parents. I may be married to the older son, but that doesn't make any difference.
I was already prepared for that when I married my husband. I knew that it would eventually be necessary since we're all family now. On the other hand, if I left it all to her, I knew that she would push all the work onto me, sooner or later. That became my main concern, so I asked my husband for advice. He thought it would be best if we all gathered to talk about it, and a family meeting was held at my in-laws' house. After talking about the not-too-distant future, it was decided that the caretaking and the inheritance would be shared equally between our family and my brother-in-law's family. I didn't have any complaints with that and agreed. When that was over, the conversation changed, and my husband's parents asked me what I planned to do about my daughter's elementary school. I replied saying we plan to send her to a private school. That's when my sister-in-law exclaimed,
What? How can you afford that? Your husband doesn't make enough money and your family is poor. There's no way you can do that.
and got angry. I did get irritated with her choice of words, but we were with the in-laws, so I stayed quiet. Instead, my husband explained that.
Susan's parents were very kind and told us that they would pay however much was needed for their grandchild's education. So we decided on a private school.
By the way, my husband and I didn't mind whether it was private or not, as long as our daughter could make friends. And my parents had pushed for a private school, so if anything, all we had done was fulfill my parents' wish. Even so, my husband was kind enough to express his gratitude. However, when she heard this, my sister-in-law suddenly ranted.
Why? Private school is expensive. How can your parents pay so much?
Susan's parents are the owners of a big company, and they're wealthy, or should I say rich. Financially, they have a lot of room to spare.
Of course, my husband's parents were aware that my family was wealthy, since they had already met them before. But it was a first for my sister-in-law, who was reeling with jealousy.
What? I didn't know that. Susan, you're a normal housewife, aren't you? Aren't you?
I'm a housewife, but ever since I was in university, my parents have taught me about investing, so it's not like I don't have any income at all.
That's ridiculous. I didn't know anything about that at all.
Because I didn't tell you. In the first place, I don't think people usually talk about how much their husband earns, or how much their entire household earns. I'm not so sure since I'm an only child.
So you have your own income and your family is wealthy? It's so unfair that you have support from your parents. I haven't gotten anything. You get to keep all the wealth for yourself because you're an only child, but you want half of the inheritance from your husband's parents. Just how greedy are you?
Sharing the care and the inheritance was decided by all of us together a few minutes ago. Even though our in-laws were still in the room, my sister-in-law began to complain.
You must be joking. Give up the inheritance. You should be the ones taking care of them. Your family is rich, so you don't have to take care of your own parents. That's so unfair. You're not working, so it's the least you can do.
And make a fuss. My parents have nothing to do with this. Age falls on people equally, so our financial situation has nothing to do with it either. And do you realize just how horrible you sound? Telling me to give up the inheritance, but to do all of the caretaking.
Shut up, shut up! I can't forgive you! It's not fair if we only have and have to take care of them. That's so unfair. It's only right that you give it up and that you do everything.
We should do the caretaking equally. My parents and their money have nothing to do with you.
I can't forgive that you have more money than I do. I can't let you be happier than I am.
My husband and I couldn't say anything back to my sister-in-law's shocking comments. Naturally, my parents-in-law were extremely angry about my sister-in-law going on and on about the inheritance and their old age care. My father-in-law struck the table.
If you hate the idea of taking care of us so much, then you don't have to. But in return, we won't be driving your children to kindergarten and taking care of their dinner when they come home anymore.
And lost his temper. My sister-in-law must have finally come to her senses and realized how troublesome that would be because...
No, you're wrong! That's not what I meant.
We're wrong? We finally understood what you really think of us. Don't worry, we won't ask you to take care of us. And we have no intention of leaving you anything in our will.
No, I'm sorry. Please.
Next to his wife, who was pale and making excuses, my brother-in-law was only sitting quietly. In the end, the first decision we had made was written over, and instead, my sister-in-law and her husband wouldn't receive anything in the inheritance, and wouldn't have to do anything to take care of our in-laws. The inheritance they had initially planned to leave to my brother-in-law's family would be used in the instance that they needed to be put into a home for the elderly. But they still plan to leave us our part of the inheritance. I'm a housewife, so even though I often took my daughter to go see them, I had never been as reliant on them as my sister-in-law had. And to be honest, I didn't expect any of the inheritance from my in-laws. Regardless, I thought it was only natural that I should help take care of them, and my husband had already conveyed my feelings to them. After that, just as they had warned, my parents-in-law no longer helped my sister-in-law with driving her kids or making them dinner. And because of that, my sister-in-law had to deal with everything herself. She had been working part-time in a place near home and had been asking her in-laws to drive her kids to school and take care of them on the days she would be working late. She had received so much help from them, but that had all disappeared in one go. She could no longer work late or as much as before, so her part-time job was reduced to just a few days a week for a few hours at a time. Her pay had decreased by half overall. Because of that, their income decreased by a large part, and she could no longer make any nasty comments towards me. Up until that, just to get one over on us, she had been buying designer items and buying branded clothes for her children, but could no longer do even that. My sister-in-law panicked and apparently went to our in-laws crying, but of course they couldn't forgive her attitude and had almost completely cut ties with her. My brother-in-law is almost non-existent. He doesn't say anything. Maybe that's part of the reason why my sister-in-law must be jealous of our lifestyle. And whenever we meet, she always glares at me. But it doesn't bother me one bit. And I think she got her just desserts, so I don't sympathize.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.